Hello and welcome to the Teacher Squad podcast. It is spring term 2024, episode 5 with me, Jane Constantine, and Heather Wright.
Oh, it's an exciting episode, Jane. I'm going to talk about dogs and donuts.
And I'm just letting everybody know that our guest, Helen Rutter, has seen me with her own eyeballs wearing the best trainers ever. Not saying I'm a fashionista or anything, just putting it out there.
Let's not talk about fashion. I'm going to talk about World Book Day. Potatoes, aubergines, jars and shoeboxes.
Oh my goodness. And actually, I'm going to talk about gender and boys and girls and how they feel that they are treated in the classroom by their teachers. Let's get started.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So, Jane, do you have a rhyme for me about gratitude this week? Is it thingin' zingin or glimmer of shimmer? What are we on?
Well, I've got a ray of sunshine and I've been looking for a sign to cheer me up. And actually, it's been a year 4 class. I mean, they're a bit tricky, but they they genuinely did cheer me up. And we were doing some work on spelling, which is a nightmare up and down
And
the
that
country.
cheered you up? Spelling cheered you up? Is it because
No,
they
when I
spelled
see
something
that-
wrong?
Oh, I'll tell you what, when I see anything to do with spelling in my diary, my heart does sink a little bit. It's just like, this is going to be a long, arduous battle to turn this round around the country. Oh my goodness, so much to do, so little time. But yeah, it was a really wondrous lesson. Big up me. I do worry about my self-esteem sometimes. But it was about homophones.
Homophones, nice.
Good. And the lesson came to an end, and it was just it's just this thing, isn't it? And it happens. I think it happens at about year 3. Definitely before year 3, you've got no chance, and then it depends on the children, but kids aren't very good at jokes, are they? And, all of that wordplay and puns and nuance, and they don't get this sort of meta-textual stuff that is at the heart of a matter of a joke. And they might understand the knock shape, but there's no real wordplay there. Or what my kids did for years is they're like just serving facts as jokes, like, why did the dog throw up on the sofa? And you're like, yes, come on, this could be the moment. And they just go, he was sick. And you're like, all right, thank you.
That's what they say now, doesn't it? He was sick.
Yes. Yeah, coming at you from 2017 and other Down with the Kids jargon. But this lesson ended. And, sometimes kids do that adorable thing, which is just like really hurtful to the other teacher. We love you, miss. Can you be our teacher? And it's just like, they're just being little, what PG rating, little nightmares, isn't they? Just trying to wind the other teacher up. And you go, oh no, it's just a one-off. I'm not here tomorrow. And then at the end, because it was about homophones, this lad came up to me at the end and went, Miss, I'm going to miss you. And I went, oh, I'm going to miss you too. I've changed his name, Arlo. All kids are called Arlo now. So that's a safe bet if you're teaching. And big up the Arlos around the UK. And it was like, do you get it, miss? Do you get it? And I'm like, I get it, miss. I'm going to miss you. Like year 4, getting the pun. And when I said, oh, I'll miss you too, he was like, don't worry. And he sort of at high speed, I'm talking from packing my laptop away to get into the door, he'd drawn an Arlo for me, like a picture of
Oh,
him and his smile and his curly hair, and it's like, "Yeah, like, you're not gonna miss me, you've got this." And this Arlo has been hanging in my car for 4 days. And
oh.
I just have really bad, like, I have chucked so much crap in the bin of my own kids. Honestly, seriously, I've been ruthless. Like,
You
that's
gotta
really bad
be.
parenting, isn't
We,
it?
we
gets
we used to
ridiculous,
call
doesn't
it.
it?
Shall we file it in the big red file because all the bins in the classrooms were red fire were red bins in the big red file. That one.
Yes, yeah. And there's just a lot of potato printing, isn't there, when they're younger? But this Arlo, like, it's sort of happened to be kind of got to my handbag and then has come from my handbag as you're emptying out, like, sorting your life out. And it's just on the passenger seat now, just looking at me. And I'm like, oh, Gil, Arlo. I just I don't know how long
Ah,
I can keep him for. But that is cute, isn't it?
it's
Kids
really
are
cute.
adorable. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard
Do you
many
get
of
it?
those terrible, terrible jokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are
shall I tell you what
you are
I'm
you
grateful for?
happy over there? Are you grateful
Oh,
for stuff?
listen, I'm always grateful, Jane. There's always gratitude seeping out of my pores. I mean, just today, this afternoon, I've been invited to a school to a reading cafe slash fluency session to have a bookstall. That was gorgeous, so beautiful and buzzy and nice, and kids just going, I don't know what to choose. I just love reading. I was like, oh, well done to that
Oh, wow.
school. That was
That's good,
nice. That
isn't
was
it?
nice. And
Yeah,
bonus point, they made me a cup of tea. If a school welcomes you and offers you a drink, they're doing things right. But my
absolutely.
chosen gratitude is somebody sent me an email, Jane.
Woo-hoo-hoo! I was gonna give up. I was gonna go for anti-marketing about our emails, like, just don't bother because 'cause we're not bothered. But actually, I really get bothered.
We're
So I'm
really
just
bothered.
yes.
Well,
So
last week I talked about gratitude for Luna, my cock-adorable dog, and wanted to hear a bit about some school dogs. So
yes.
I've got some listener stories.
Oh,
So on this one came from X. She reluctantly says, really wanting to say Twitter, and Vicky Fenton tagged in one of their teachers, Mr. Tomlin, said, tell them about our Brian, an amazing member of our team. And I'm like, oh, so they sent me some pictures of this beautiful dog and he's in the library. Gorgeous. So Mr. Tomlinson, who obviously is, parent of this said dog, said he was a rescue found after being shot and starving in a field for a long time. Now, obviously,
oh,
he's rescued by them and is in this school. The impact he has with our students is amazing, and he gets them and they get him. Walks, talks, listening to reading, and especially running around on the field with them at any opportunity. How gorgeous that! And then
oh,
Simon,
Brian.
that's gorgeous. We love Brian. And then Simon Pollard, who is a head teacher down here in Cornwall, his dog's also called Luna. And I've been to this school quite a few times and witnessed lovely Luna prowling around like she owns the joint. It's brilliant. But this is a little story from Simon. Our school dog Luna has gradually become so comfortable with her role that she now has free rein to move around the building. She's an expert at finding lost tennis balls, finding sunny spots to lie in, and cheering up anyone who is feeling a little low. The problem with having a Labrador as a school dog is they're very hardwired to eat. Therefore, we have had to spend time teaching children and adults to keep food out of Luna's way. When there are cakes in the staff room, the door must be kept shut. Packed lunches need to be placed out of reach, and snacks and sandwiches are not left carelessly unattended. Unfortunately, there
Uh-oh.
are lapses in following these guidelines, and Luna is always on the lookout for an opportunity to pounce. One incident stands out is during a visit from the school improvement team. One of the
Uh-oh.
visitors carefully took out their Tesco meal deal and placed it on the coffee table. went to their bag to get out their water bottle, and when they looked up, Luna had helped herself to their sandwich, including opening the packet. And just last week, a teacher brought cakes and donuts on their birthday. Well done. Everyone's very diligent about keeping Luna out of the staff room. However, the poor teacher had kept some reserve cakes under her desk to make sure her year group team on playground duty didn't miss out. We all knew what had happened when someone shouted Luna when they saw her proudly walking down the corridor with a carrot cakes box in her mouth. Luna.
Why did the dog get sick on the sofa? Because of the donuts that worked for her.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it's funny, isn't it? But that poor teacher who thought she was saving them. What a gorgeous thing to do, to save them for your co-teacher while they're out on playground duty. Yeah, funny. I love a school dog story. But yeah, that was nice. So keep sending your emails in. You might have them read out, but if you don't, we're not bothered. We're not bothered, are we, Jane?
No, we're absolutely not bothered.
What we are grateful for, though, is our lovely guest today, aren't we?
Yeah, I can't wait to chat again to Helen Rutter. I know you've been chatting to Helen. Helen is the novelist of 5 children's books, and she's got a lot to talk about in terms of parenting, school life, and children in general. We love her books. Can't wait to chat to her.
I know. I can't believe you met her. Where did you meet her, Jane?
Oh, the Edinburgh Fringe. It was just so weird in the sense that we just sat down in an outdoor sort of cafe area of the Edinburgh Fringe. I've never been before and I absolutely loved it and I can't recommend it enough. There's so much to see and do. And just got chatting. And then halfway through the conversation, I was like, "Are you Helen Rutter?" Because she was talking about her job and some of the things she does. In fact, she was talking about her husband, who's who's an amazing comedian, and we actually went to see him on the back of a recommendation. That was lovely. Just recommending her husband. Went to see him. He did a kind of a late night Scrabble. In fact, all the comedians used to kind of flock there at the end of their set, and it was a really good spot to meet all these, well-known comedians and the up-and-comings, and it was just brilliant. And she was brilliant, and we chatted to her kids, and yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
It's really cool. You are just super cool, Jane. I was just thinking that whether she recognised you first. Are you the Jane Considine?
Well, it was the other way around.
Did that bring you right back down to earth, Jane? We all need a bit of that.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, well, I'm excited that we've got Helen with us today because what her most recent middle grade novel, Reggie Houser Has the Power, was in our most recent Upper Key Stage 2 teacher subscription box. So it's going to be great to talk to her. So Helen's first novel, The Boy Who Made Everyone Laugh, was shortlisted for the Costa Children's Book Award, the Blue Peter Children's Book Award, and the Bramford Bowes Award. So yeah, she's a pretty good writer. Oh, and also she is down on our events calendar. So we've got Helen doing a virtual author event for schools around the country. I'll put the link on in the show notes if people want to check that out. But less from us.
And we've got a reading unit plan linked to one of her, The Boy Who Made Everybody Laugh. So, she's great, great writer, really personable.
Link in the show notes, won't we? There'll be so many links in the show notes. It's all about Helen, not us. Shall we invite her in?
Yeah, brilliant. So, Helen, last time I saw you, we were in the sunshine. I think I was having a G&T, and you recommended. Well, I can't believe that we worked out who each other were, and we'd followed each other, and it was so cute. And I met your kids, and I think I actually fell in love with your husband.
Well, my kids fell in love with you. My daughter still talks about you to this day, and she remembers the trainers that you were wearing. You had the coolest trainers on that she'd ever seen ever. I think you did a dance routine with her. That must have been after the dance routine.
Oh,
It was your
yeah.
birthday, and you bought us all a drink. You were like a hero. You were like a highlight of the whole Edinburgh Fringe tours. We were like, oh, they were so cool. They were the coolest people ever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I really do have cool trainers, and one day I am going to break free from Heather, who doesn't really understand fashion as much as me or appreciate my 100 pairs of trainers in a range of different colours. That's a bit mean, isn't it, Heather? I always pick on you because you're wrapped in a bloody blanket and doesn't know about the latest, hype beast Nike plus whatever collab, whatever. But
well, my kids definitely appreciated your trainer game. Definitely.
I'm just going to record.
Oh no, your kids were brilliant.
It was such a delight. It's such a random meeting because it was your birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were celebrating. It was such a gorgeous, honestly, that's the great thing about Edinburgh, isn't it? When you can sit around on those in-between shows and you get recommendations from people and you get such great chat and meet it's one of my best bits of the Fringe is those kind of in-between moments where you just chat to people. And then obviously you find out that you're in a very similar game. It was really mad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think at the end of we'd been chatting or dancing or whatever for about an hour, and then we realized, oh yeah, there's a connection.
Yeah, it was joyous. It really was joyous. Yeah, loved it. Yeah, and it's so weird, isn't it? I always think when you get to know people, who are authors or teachers, and then you just see them as a mum as well. It's like we're all us, but it's another extension of our personalities. And I just find that just adorable about life. Other than please don't watch me as a parent at the moment. I'm just doing #fail on all counts. Anyway, don't get me started about that. I'm so bad at parenting at the moment. I even caught myself talking about it to somebody in Costa who was like, listen, can you just leave me alone and collect your cappuccino and go away?
Sometimes it out, don't you? And it just has to come out wherever you are, whether it's Costa or somewhere else.
You'll talk to anyone anywhere, won't you, Jane? Anyway, let's move on to Helen. Let's not talk about Jane because don't blow anyone's smoke up her arse. She really doesn't need that. You're very cool, Jane, and I've got my own fashion sense. Thank you very much. Let's move on. We're going to talk a bit about your fabulous new book, Reggie Houser Has the Power. But just to warm you up a bit, Helen, if you could use mind control on anybody, who would it be and what would you do?
I mean, obviously, as a parent, using mind control, I've got a 16-year-old. So using mind control on your 16-year-old would come in very handy, wouldn't it? Like getting the things that they need to do done rather than the thousands and thousands of reminders and conflict. That would be quite a useful thing. Whereas my 12-year-old's still quite eager to please. I'm clinging on. So I wouldn't need to use mind control there because she's still, she still wants to be my friend.
Yeah, keep that going. I love that.
I'll leave it for later. But a teenager, using mind control on a teenager would be pretty good. And who else? I tried one of my mind control tricks today. I recorded a video and put it on Instagram, and I don't think it worked. I tried to get people to tell me if it worked, and literally only one person said, yeah, that really worked. I'm like, I think that means that I can't really do mind control. I've tried to hypnotize my family for the past 18 months when I was writing this book and researching this book. And I tried to learn how to do hypnosis and mind control. relatively seriously at first, and then as it went along and I realized that I was never going to hypnotize them and they were getting more and more fed up with me every dinner time, I'd just be like, right, I've got it this time, I have got it, I'm definitely going to do it, and then just be like, oh mum, leave us alone. And then so at one point me, I was in my writing shed trying to write, and he texted me saying hypnotism is rubbish.
Wow. Two things there. You've got a writing shed.
Oh, I'm in my writing shed. This is it. Yeah, it was a rundown little shed with a lawnmower and, you know, a broken bike and some tools and spiders and things in it. And then when I got my first book deal, my husband's a bit handy. He's, you know, you've seen him on stage and he's a bit of a clown, isn't he? You can't imagine that he'd actually be capable of anything with how foolish he is. But he, you know, we got some electricity and slapped some wallpaper up, and it's nice.
Amazing. Did you hypnotize him to get him to do that?
Yeah, no, I could hypnotize him. To be honest, I'd need to hypnotize him to do all sorts of other things. But no, if you offer him the chance of using a power tool, he'll take it.
And how often do you go in your writing shed, Helen?
It depends which stage of writing I'm in. So at the moment, I'm just finishing a first draft of the next book, the next book. And so when I'm first drafting, I'll come in most mornings and I try and get a chapter done a day, just to get it all out quite quickly. And then, so I'll be in here every morning, at least for a few hours. And then I'll have a bit of a break. And then, when the first edit comes back, then I'll spend quite a bit of time in here as well. But then there's big gaps where I don't come in, and then when I go back to doing the first drafts, I'll come back in the shed and it's like, oh, I forgot. It's such a gorgeous, it's nice having somewhere outside of the house. It's nice that separation when you walk out and go somewhere else makes quite a big difference, and it's so cozy, and I just love it in here, and I can get it warm. I can't really get the house warm without, you know, being tutted at for putting the heating on or whatever. But in here, I'm allowed my little plug-in heater.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so hard, I'm sure, just to write in kind of a family home full of distractions. And you know, you've got to whip it, I hear. I mean, they can be quite, you know, demanding, can't they? Probably, you know, a lot of energy. And I suppose you just need to take yourself away and, you know, get into the world of writing.
Yeah, although the whippet usually is in here whining at me. That's his chair in the background. The whippet just follows me everywhere. So he's normally here, but actually, as long as he's had a walk, he just sleeps. Generally, he's all right. So yeah, no, it is. It's good to get away, just because that thing of sometimes I can write when I'm in the house, but just knowing that there's washing or there's just stuff everywhere, and you know that you're the only one that's going to deal with it. And so it's as like I can walk away from a dirty house and be in here, and then I can forget all about it. But it's hard to forget when you're in it. So yeah, it's very nice having my own space.
God, that's great.
Helen, I want to just jump back to your first book, The Boy Who Made Everyone Laugh, which kind of touched me. My dad has a stammer, so I know you wrote this book from your own experience. It's your son, isn't it, who has a stammer, and the other characters that you've written about, like Reggie in this book, has ADHD. You seem to connect with those kids, those characters who've just got something that they're working through. Has that been deliberate? Because for me as a teacher, they're the kind of kids that they just have a twinkle in their eye for me, and I really want to support them and work with them and figure out what works. Are you particularly drawn to them? And was the ADHD a deliberate choice in this? How's that one come about?
Yeah, I mean, who I would not trust anybody if they weren't like if their heartstrings weren't pulled by, you know, an underdog or somebody that, you know, has a little bit more of a struggle, or all of those things, they're what make us human, aren't they? Those things that that are difficult for us, and especially with kids, it's just so it was so heartwarming seeing the way he dealt with his stammer was so inspiring. Like, obviously so inspiring. It inspired me to write a whole book. Like, I never even considered writing a book, and he inspired it. So clearly it was quite an amazing thing to witness. And I think, those kids are definitely the kids that you naturally, I'm sure most people are naturally kind of interested by and drawn to, and want to kind of, you know, just, I hope my characters are those kids that you want to kind of look after and really, really, you know, have big dreams and hopes for, and you know, wish them all the best. And I think that with Reggie, there was lots of conversation about it with my publisher beforehand, and because I'd taught some drama. I used to run a drama class, and there was a kid in that class who definitely was partially an inspiration for Reggie. And as I was talking to Scholastic about a character with ADHD, they said, there's just not enough. There's no, they were like, they're crying out for characters with ADHD, because it's obviously been hugely talked about recently, hasn't it, in the last couple of years, and there just weren't enough books out there. And I was like, well, do you think I can do that? Because obviously there is a conversation to be had about lived experience, and obviously with the stammer with Billy Plimpton, that was obviously, I don't have a stammer, but there was lived experience there that I'd kind of gone through it with him to a degree. And then this one, it was that thing of, right, well, hopefully if I research it well enough and I'm sensitive enough, and it is based on some experience that I've had with my teaching, then hopefully I'll be able to write this character with enough empathy and enough detail, and create a character that people will love, and that is hopefully needed, and kids will go. And actually, in the few school visits that I've done so far, when I tell schools that Reggie has ADHD, the noise that they make in the hall, it's like, oh, and you can hear them, I've got ADHD, and they really are kind of like lit up by the idea that there's a character like them. And so I guess that's the reason. And I hope I've done it. I hope I've done it in a truthful and empathetic way.
You certainly have, and to allow those children to get the readers to get under the skin of someone who might be in their class as well, and connect and have that empathy, and maybe just understand some of what's behind their actions and what's behind their behaviour. I think definitely much needed, and you've done that really well.
Yeah, and I think for pupils to feel seen, as you say, to have characters like that, so they can, truly connect and understand their own experience through living it through the story. It's so well written, Helen. It's really great. And on that wider sense, across all your books, there is this kind of pervading theme, isn't there, of kind of belonging or not belonging, and how to kind of find your groove, or how to be understood or have acceptance within a peer group. Is that something that is kind of autobiographical? Is that something you've, that belonging at school, is that something you've personally experienced, or is it again just through the eyes of having children, you want them just to have those kind of that sense of belonging when it comes to kind of school life?
I think I can't imagine that anybody, I don't know, maybe there are people that go through school feeling like they belong. I can't imagine that though, because we all feel like, I don't know, I think we all feel like we are different and that we are outside of things, even when the outside would see us as being part of a group or belonging to a certain, group of people. I think that we all feel alone, don't we? That it's a really basic human thing to kind of go, oh, I'm on my own, actually, regardless of who's surrounding me or what I may project to the world. I'm actually on my own, and that's that continues that continues throughout life, doesn't it? But when you're a kid and in school, it's really heightened. And I think some of the stuff for Reggie, in terms of that, he goes through a lot of, he wants a group so badly that he's willing to kind of, combined with his impulsiveness, he goes along with stuff that, and I definitely was like that at school. I got into quite a lot of trouble because I would, I would get in with the wrong crowd, or I would go along with things, or I would try and, try and kind of get that hit. It's like you want that kind of hit of excitement or something to bond you all together, to make you feel something with other people. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? But I definitely did that quite a lot. So my teachers would definitely attest to how good I was.
Did you
how naughty were you?
Steal a Freddo. I can't remember stealing a Freddo, but I won't go into all my transgressions with you today. But yeah, there's some of the things in the books that I write. Loads of the things are definitely autobiographical, because that's where you have to start, isn't it, with writing? There's nowhere else to start. You've got to go from what you know.
I think it's so good for kids that they do think, oh, they've got it sorted. They think they've got a group, and they don't get into the head of the other children, do they? And think that actually they may be having some of the same thoughts. I think you write with a great kind of raw honesty, with that wit and humour that just humanises it woven through. It's really great. I just wanted to talk about chapter 12 and the trampoline and a little bit of honesty. He said, last time Mum bounced on the trampoline, she ended up peeing her pants. We all found it hysterical, but she didn't seem to find it so funny and has not ventured on for a bounce ever since. So is that autobiographical? Are you okay on a trampoline?
There is a trampoline outside this writing shed that I've not been on for many, many years. And my children, my daughter would say, come and bounce. And my son would say, no, she can't. She wets herself. And I would just be like, it's all your fault. That's why I can't bounce, because of you two.
We're all mums here. I think that bit when mums are reading it out will really resonate. But seriously, that writing style that you've got, that is really kind of raw and real from the children's point of view and from the adults' point of view, but with that beautiful humour woven through. Is that a deliberate choice? Is that just you? Is that just your voice?
Yeah, that's not a choice. I think whenever I've tried to write, I've tried to write for some adult stuff, and as soon as I do that, I start overthinking it. I start trying to make choices about, voice and how to write and all of this. No, I cannot do it. It's just not in me, I don't think. Maybe one day, but the books that I write for this age group, it's in terms of voice, like structure and plot, I've gone on a big learning curve with, and I've really, really learned a lot. But in terms of voice and in terms of that kind, what you're talking about, that just is me, onto a page, like literally. And that's the joyful bit of writing, is that I can just let out all of the stuff, all of the voice and all of the thoughts and everything, and let that out in quite an easy, flowy way. And then the tricky bit is figuring out how to piece it all together and turn it into a story.
I think you can hear that authenticity. Yes. I've listened again to The Boy Who Made Everyone Laugh on Audible before speaking to you again, and hearing it from your voice, I would recommend that to listeners, as well as reading the books. Maybe share that with their class, because it comes through. It comes through in that. Sorry, Jane.
Yeah, it's the voice part, and I think it's so fascinating what you're saying there, Helen, about it being a safe space, that, you know, knowing who your audience is, that just actually feels safer. I mean, we talk about sometimes children being cruel, but I know what you mean about adults actually writing on an adult level, and then kind of feeling very self-conscious about it. You know, it's so, you know, like Heather and I read your work, and just like, you know, we would never sense that from you because your writing is so sharp. It's just you know, but it's just perfect. It's perfect, isn't it, for you know, we know that if we go into classrooms and read this, you know, and you'll experience that yourself with author events, you know, that kids will be hanging off every word, you know, and enjoying it immensely. Chapter 22, I just want to read this little moment here. And I love the layout feature of these kind of bold bits of advice to kind of almost to yourself, you know, you know, the main character. Do not listen in when people are talking about you, however tempting it may be. It never ends well. Remember the time you listened to the Popular Gang at primary and Sol Bridger called you a turd? And for me, I think the thing that is so clever about this novel is this sort of insight into the main character, but also tangled all through it, you get insight into kind of the parenting world, and the kind of, we're watching, we're worrying, you know, and that sense that you get kind of those two things at the same time. You know, it's that wonderful bit of insight into them as a child, but also parents sort of watching, listening in maybe from the other room, and that, you know, that parenting thought, you know, they're not in a good place at the moment, they're all over the place, you know. And it sort of links into something I've been thinking about ever such a lot. You know, I am worried about boys quite a lot at the moment. You know, I'm worried about everybody, but I think, you know, there is something about boys and finding their way in school and in life. You know, they do tend to worry us quite a bit, and that comes through, but it comes through in such a gentle way. Do you want to say more about that? Well, actually, how hard parenting is, or is that just me projecting? God.
Oh yeah, I think like it's interesting because I've ended up like landing on writing about boys without kind of, I don't know whether I would have carried on doing that, but my publisher said after Billy Plimpton, they were like, no, we were really, I said, can I write about a girl this time? And they said, no, we really want you to write a boy again, because of what you were saying, really, because, you know, that kind of going into that internal space of it, like into a boy's head where they are trying to figure out so much and not necessarily able to articulate that or understand it at that age. And you know, and they kind of said, look, you've got boy readers there, and it's important, these characters are important, and so could you write another boy character? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then actually over these books now with Reggie as well, I'm just like, oh, these boys, I really want to kind of look after them all. And it, I think, I don't know whether I'm worried about boys. I worry that, so what they say, write more boy characters because boys give up reading, which is true and very, very sad, as my son has definitely given up reading. He used to be the biggest bookworm and now hasn't read a book for so long. It makes me really, really sad. So I worry them because in that way, and I think that there's like, you know, my son's he's emotionally intelligent and quite insightful, but I don't know whether he has the opportunity to talk in depth with his male friends at school. And that is, and has always been, hasn't it, the worry with boys, is that actually they have all of these feelings and these emotions, and they can often kind of see them for themselves, but then they don't get the places to kind of let this stuff out and see it for what it is. And that's, I guess, hopefully, if they are still reading characters like this, then there's something to go, oh, I feel like that too. So yeah, I think, there's hope. Don't feel hopeless about boys. I think that they're gonna they'll be all right. Hopefully.
They'll be all right.
Yeah.
Have you got a new character on the way? Is there anything you can let us, into, or is that all top secret?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how top secret is. I'm not very good at secrets, but it's really exciting. What I'm writing at the moment is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. It's there is a new character, and I can tell you, I don't know whether I can't tell you, I won't tell you everything in case it is meant to be a secret, but it's going to be, so it's same age range, and it is another boy, and he's finding it really difficult to make decisions. That this is him, and we as the reader have to help him make the decisions. It's got an interactive vibe, and I am so all over it. Like I'm obsessed, but it is probably the hardest thing I've ever written by a long way. So it's gonna hopefully I'll get through it, but I might end up being, like I said to my editor, I might get my first draft when I'm in my 60s. So just be patient because it's a bit epic.
So we haven't got a publication date yet.
Well, it's meant to be this time next year, so we'll see.
You better get a wriggle on, get in that writing shed, get the heater on, get the whippet on the chair, get yourself sorted. Gin and tonic will help you on.
Yeah, you whip it into action with the whippet as the motivation. Yeah, I love this idea though, where the reader chooses the character's pathway. Wow, that is great. I can't wait for that, Helen.
It's going to be so good. Oh, Helen, it's been so nice to chat to you. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, but we're going to have to say goodbye.
Oh, yeah, I literally could chat to you two for a very long time. I feel like in the future, we may have to get together and just talk, just for fun, and see, and yeah, have a good old gas. But it was so nice to see you again, Jane. And yeah, and I'm doing some stuff on Heather with I'm doing an online session soon as well. So it's the end of this, but I will hopefully see you both again very soon.
Yeah, you're February the 26th doing a big virtual schools event. So we're going to share the link in the show notes. But will there be some mind control in that, Helen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I will brace myself. If you make me squawk like a chicken, we're done.
Oh, lovely to talk to you, Helen.
Thanks,
you.
Helen.
All right. Bye.
Sentence of the week, Jane. What have you been thinking about?
Well, I'm a bit worried about boys, Heather, and some of the stuff that we do in school that hardens stereotypes or puts different genders in pigeonholes. And like I know, if you Google books for boys, or you get a sea of blue, or books for girls, you get a sea of pink with loads of glitter and loads of books about appearances and girls in, loads of leotards. It's really weird. And sometimes I think that the language that we use is kind of feeding into this idea of, boys are troublesome, disruptive, or can be uninterested, but we can get quite compliant girls. And, it's just that thing that I sometimes hear in staff rooms, especially if I'm going in to teach and I get debriefed. And I just think we've just got to be a little bit careful. So they'll say things to me like, it's a boy heavy class, eye roll, or a knowing look, or there's some typical sort of lads in there, and the boys can be a bit like, you know what I mean? And I just find it a little bit uncomfortable. And what I think is really sort of sad is that, and this is just quite an interesting study that My Hill and Jones took part in, where they actually asked children about kind of gender differences, and I've put a link to the research in the show notes. And 67% of pupils actually said teachers treat boys more negatively than girls. Boys were unfavorably treated by teachers, and disproportionately, boys were more slammed by teachers. And there was kind of an agreement by 67% of pupils that girls get away with poor behaviour because teachers don't expect them to be naughty. Teachers think girls are more sensitive, so are worried they'll cry if they're disciplined. This is what children were saying. Teachers, especially male ones, are gentler with the girls. Teachers are less likely to shout at the girls. Girls are treated more like adults because teachers think they're more mature, and boys are told off more and punished for similar behaviour that you might have from girls. And it's just like, well, that's rubbish. And rubbish if the kids feel like that. And then there's some other I don't know. This is interrelated, but this, sometimes I still see, and I think in schools, sometimes a bit of sarcasm as well, which I think is a bit unhelpful and confusing, where you go, oh, I know you love maths. It's your favourite subject, isn't it? Thank you for being excited coming into maths. And it's just like, it's sarky. And it's just like, well, it's not that funny. And it's basically saying you don't like maths, so I don't know. I don't know. It's about how important words are and just being that extra bit careful. And actually, it's really hard to be really funny as a teacher, isn't it? Because we're all a bit fed up. It's just like, what? You want me to be funny as well? And it's actually not about entertainment, is it? Like, kids just want you to be just really clear and explicit and not confusing. And I think sarcasm feeds into that as well. And whenever I genuinely try to tell a joke or something that I think is really funny, like, actually I'm going back to my spelling lesson now about how to spell diarrhea. I always think dia is, we all know it's sort of D-I-A. And then because diarrhea is so hard to spell, any word that's hard to spell has got a double consonant in it. So it's got a double R next. Sort of, you learn that bit, D-I-A, double R, that's sorted. And it's the end bit. And then this little sort of ditty, haven't obviously eaten anything, like, you're sorted. And it's just, that's it. I love you, Heather, because you're just a great friend, because you laugh at my crap jokes. And like, the kids aren't even laughing, but they can all spell diarrhea by the time I leave. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. Things that are a bit crap, actually. There you go. What have you been thinking about, Honey Bunch?
Now that's really good, Jane. I think it's really important to just reflect even on what, there was a programme, wasn't there? I can't remember. And was it on the Isle of Man? And there was a teacher,
Yeah.
I think he's quite big on Twitter, but forgive me, I can't remember his name. And they recorded in his classroom and looked at the practice and how boys and girls were treated, even down to kind of what we say, like love or, mate.
Yes.
That's
right. And that was one of the findings, wasn't it? That boys were called mate and girls were called love. Yeah.
And it's about expectation at the end of the day, isn't it? If we expect boys to have a low bar in terms of social emotional intelligence, then that's the bar that they're going to rise to. It's a good point. And you're always talking about slowing down in terms of reading and writing. Actually, in our practice as teachers, slowing down sometimes and just reflecting on how we're delivering things, not just the what we're delivering is important.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about World Book Day.
Oh,
Well, I'm always thinking about books, aren't I? But I've been noticing it's that time of year. We're about a month away from World Book Day. People are on Twitter, X, or Facebook groups and saying, "What are you doing? Has anyone got an idea for this? We're going to do book in a box or book on a potato or whatever." So I thought let's talk.
Like.
Book on an aubergine. I like to see that one. Let's talk about
any vegetables. Other vegetables are allowed. Yeah,
are available. May not have an emoji. First of all, I just wanted to clear up the £1 book token thing. So there's lots of people asking the question, do you know anywhere where I can swap the book tokens and just get the books for my school? So what teachers need to understand, and I didn't understand this as when I was in the classroom, as a bookseller, let me just give you what I know now. Those tokens have no monetary value. The bookseller doesn't get anything back for those. Okay, so if you're asking a local bookshop to let you have those books, they can do that at their discretion. If they have paid for them themselves. Obviously, they're at a really cheap rate because they're pound books, but the bookshop has purchased those themselves. So the idea of the tokens originally is about getting children and families into bookshops. And as we know, children having their own books is evidence-based that it will help them be readers. So just be mindful, I think is what I'm saying, is that when you're asking the bookshop, be clear what you're asking for. Then they're not exchanging those vouchers. They have no monetary value. If you're building a connection with your local bookshop, make sure you're not just grabbing the books and running from them. Think about how you can bring the pupils to that bookshop to have the experience of a bookshop as well. And then I thought, I was going to share with you some aubergine, kind of ideas for World Book Day. People are always saying, what are you doing? What are you dressing up? Well, there's always a debate, isn't there, about whether dressing up's okay or not. I thought, what? I'm not actually going to share any ideas. What I want to do is just, sorry about that. There's loads of ideas out there. I mean, write your own book, do a book swap, share them around, dress up in your pajamas, what have you. What I want to do is just get under the skin of that, really, and provoke a bit of thought. I'm going to share in the show notes. World Book Day have partnered with Open University Reading for Pleasure with Professor Teresa Kremin and the team. And I think it was last week, but there is a recording of it. There's a lovely, it's about an hour, but it's a really lovely, informative webinar. And it's starting a series of vlogs. I don't know why I have difficulty saying vlogs and not blogs. But the first one is all about overcoming barriers, and just shared the 6 evidence-informed elements that informed World Book Day. Being read to regularly, having books at school and home, finding time to read, having trusted help to find a book, giving children a choice to read, and making reading fun. And they also shared on the webinar a new document. So it's been sponsored by the Mercer's Company, but it's been done with the Open University and a collection of programmes. And there's a new reading and writing for pleasure, a framework for practice. And there's also a document that I'll show which unpicks. They've looked across the research that we have, and they've looked at practice and made some suggestions. To me, the biggest things that are singing out are about children having choice and children having time in their reading, and also this real honest reader role model, us really being clear about what a reader looks like. You know, a reader sometimes changes their mind and doesn't finish the book, all of those, the reader's rights. So all I want to do is just prod you really to say, whatever you're doing for World Book Day, you know, I'm not averse to any of it. You know, if it sings out that reading is a great thing, but actually just look underneath it and consider, am I actually just doing something because it's that day and we have to do something, or we've always done that? Or am I actually reinforcing some of those research threads that we should have in our schools? And are we really thinking about the reader choice and time to read, and it being something that we just do as a habit? So the series of vlogs is unpicking some of those barriers. They're all free to watch. So in February, you've got readers don't always want to read the same thing. In March, readers don't always see genuine role models. April, readers don't always feel confident sharing their thoughts about books. And May, readers don't always find it easy to concentrate and get distracted. And then there's another live one to round it up in June. And that they're a lovely mix of research and real practice that's happening in schools across the country. So I'll put all of the links to those. I think sometimes we're scared about talking about the negative bits and the icky bits of, you know, getting kids reading, aren't we? And just go, oh, it's lovely, and we just show them all the loveliness. So I really appreciated that. And we'll share in the links.
We've both been a bit moody, haven't we, today, with our summing it up in a sentence.
Not ranty, just provoking. Just provoking, Jane.
Yeah. Link to that, I'm going to put in the show notes something called A Guide to Readers' Theatre, and there's actually 9 steps to that, which is that sort of authentic sense of how we get the time part right, the slowing down part, and how we can help with concentration, and actually understanding readers' theatre as 9 steps. You know, what are they? So yeah, I think that's helpful as well. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, always. Yeah. A potato. It's like book in a jar, isn't it? Yeah, all of that.
Book in a jar, book in a shoebox. I've got a poem ready. There once was a book in a shoebox.
I'd love that if my poem linked to it. So my wonder of words really is it's a bit of a sorry, I know you have lovely fashion, really. It's very unique, Heather, but really it's not about the fashion. It's about our friendship. And this poem is called Friendship, just so you don't think I don't value you, because I do. It goes like this. Friendship is precious. Keep it, protect it. You will need it. Don't throw it away. Don't break it. Don't neglect it. Keep it somewhere in your heart. If you want to, somewhere in your thoughts, if you want to, but keep it. For friendship has no borders, has its boundary that actually is all of the world. It is colour. It is the colour of the rainbow. And it has the beauty of a dream. And never listen to those who say it doesn't exist anymore. It is here. It is yours. And when you want it, all you have to do is open your eyes.
Oh.
So,
Who wrote that, Jane?
Yeah. That is Veronique Tadjo. And it is in the Works 2. And you're not a teacher unless you got Works 1 or 2. Brian Moses and Pi Corbett, an absolute classic. So yeah, thank you for being my friend.
Oh, thanks, Jane. You always need a friend who can pick on you and just, you know, laugh at your outfits. I like that. I just want to pay those people who are not watching, who are just, you know, regular audio podcast listeners. I don't want. I wonder what they email us and tell us what you think that I am wearing.
Heather's wearing.
Like I've got some kind of frumpy outfit on.
It's a blanket. It's all right. I'll still love
blanket.
You,
I'm cool with my blanket, but you know, listen. Down in Cornwall, I fit in, Jane. What you need to come down here and be all dreckly and slow. Anyway, I wanted to shout about 2 books in my Wonder of Words, 2 picture books, gorgeous picture books that have featured in our recent early years subscription teacher box. And if we had time, I'd read both of them to all of the books. They're absolutely gorgeous. But I'm just going to shout out about this one, Snail in Space, by the fabulous duo Rachel Bright and Nadia Shireen. Gorgeous, rhyming, beautiful. But, you know, Jane, I love you too. And I thought that I would share with you a little bit of I Love You More. And this is written by the gorgeous Claire Helen Welsh and illustrated by Kevin and Kristen Houder, and it's published by Nosy Crow. I'm not going to read it all, obviously. It is a mother and daughter at bedtime, and I'm just going to read a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. "Good night, sleep tight, my precious one," said Mum to little Ray. "I know I love you more than I can find the words to say." And then it goes through lots of comparison. "I love you like the penguins love to waddle in the snow, like seal pups love to snooze upon their sunlit icy flow." So then there's lots and lots of those beautiful suggestions about the reading. It says, "I think I love you more than it is possible to show, unless," said Mum, "let's count the stars, count each and every light, then count the sparkly planets shining brightly in the night. That's how much I love you, more than all the many stars, more than all the planets, more than Jupiter or Mars." "That is a lot," said little Ray. "You love me more than space, more than any sun or moon or anything or place, as much as any creature loves the sea, the land or shore. But there's one thing that you should know. I think I love you more."
Oh, that's a great book. Love that.
Oh, it's lovely. And you can, imagine in the classroom, the children being able to say, I love you like, and get lots of kind of model description. Yeah. It's a beauty. Well, that's been a nice episode, hasn't it, Jane?
Yeah. I'm just going to have a little go to my car now and think what I'm going to do with that picture. But other than that, yeah, it's been great.
We're headed into half term, everybody. So hang in there till the end of the week. Hope you all have a fabulous February half term. And, there's lots of love floating around for Valentine's Day. If you feel like you need to send, your admiration cards, you can email them to Jane at theteachersquadpodcast.com, because she's the fashionable, attractive one. If you've got any interesting stories, you can send them to me at heather@theteachersquadpodcast.com.
.com. I've learnt it eventually. It is .com, by the way, everybody. Yeah.
Should we say goodbye,
and let me
Jane?
tell you, any email will be read, just letting you know, because we are inundated, but the one you might send will be read. Yes, I think it's time to go, Heather. And there's been so much love, and it's big love. Have I done that right?
I think we've forgotten how to do it. It's big love from Heather and heartbursts from her.
Me, Jane.
We've just got complacent. We'll scrub up, and we'll be better at that next time. See you next week, everyone.
We have a dress rehearsal. Yeah, see you. Bye.